Good afternoon. Just want to kind of wrap up Saturday by just making a few comments about the game. Just congratulating our players on just a clean, taking care of business type mindset and performance. And thought that made some improvements from week one. It's always a little bit hard to tell sometimes in those situations the extent of the improvement, but things that we addressed and wanted to improve on offensively. Started both halves with touchdowns, which is what you wanted to do, and didn't turn the ball over, which is a major priority for us. And third downs and red zone has been a huge priority. And so the ones and twos were 9 for 12 on third downs, and then 5 of 6 touchdowns in the red zone. So really important to be able to make that improvement. Did have some penalties, had 5 on offense that was too many, and going back and looking at those and making sure we get those fixed. Emphasized run the football. Stevie Scott averaged 5 yards a carry. Didn't give me explosive plays in the run game as I would have hoped to, but did do a good job with the number of touches that he had, as well as Ronnie Walker doing some good things. So defensively, had 10 3-and-outs and improved our tackling. Thought they did a better job fundamentally. Still missed a few, got to clean that up. But overall, a lot of improvement there. Holding to 2 for 16 on third downs is we make a big deal about third downs, and so that's what we want to be able to do. Did not take the ball away, which is one of the negatives from the game. Already addressed that, but sometimes they just don't come. Special teams, really happy for Charles Campbell getting a 40-yard field goal in his first field goal that he's ever attempted for us, and just thought it was important to get him an opportunity for that, and then taking care of business and doing a good job just being clean in that area. So our offensive player of the game was Wap. Phil Yor thought that he set the tone for us in both that first third down catch that he made, as well as just a tough, hard-nosed run that he had. That I thought was just a good tone setter. And the defensive player of the game was James Head. Thought he really played to the level I expect him to, and I said that to him, and just proud of him. Just getting him to be a more explosive, game-changing guy in the backfield and using his burst. And then special teams player of the game was Aaron Casey with a blocked punt, and also just being sound and fundamental in what he needs to do on special teams as one of our young linebackers. Got some good reps on defense as well, did some good things. As far as our preparation, offensive scout of the week was Davion Irvin Poindexter, running back. Did a great job giving the defense a great look during the week. Defensive scout team player of the week was C.J. Person. Continues to develop and grow for us as a freshman. And then the special team scout player of the week was Ryan Barnes. And so he does a great job at tight end for us, an in-state product here out of Noblesville. So very important for us to come out of the game healthy, which we did, and trying to have an excellent week of preparation as the Ohio State Buckeyes come to town and we begin Big Ten play here at home. So very, very important home game for us, and good meeting with our guys today, good lift, good opportunity on the field to get the week started off in the right way and put the last game behind us and focus everything now upon Ohio State. So looking forward to this matchup. Coach Day, in his first year there as head coach, excellent football coach. I have a lot of respect for him as a person and as a coach, and the job that he's already doing. And they're typical Ohio State. Very, very big, physical, and explosive on both sides of the football. Very dominant up front, and have really overwhelmed the first two opponents. And very dynamic quarterback in Justin Fields, and a lot of playmakers on both sides of the ball in their skill positions. So very, very good football team that we have to play our very, very best on game day. Questions?
Kind of accelerating into Big Ten play with a pretty high-level opponent to begin with. I know guys will always try to take every week sort of one at a time in the same way, but I imagine there will be at least some level of just sort of a heightened sense of urgency because it's a top 10 team, it's Ohio State. How do you maybe balance with especially some of the young guys who've been stepping into bigger positions this year, like a guy like Michael, wanting them to be sharp but not wanting them to maybe overthink it or be too overwhelmed by it, I guess?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, because that's really the reality of what you have to handle and deal with. And we've played them earlier. My first year as head coach, it was our first game. This year it's our third game, and so but first conference game, and so you have to balance. To me, like as we started our, we're on the field today. As I talk to our team. And it's the most important game of the season. And I asked the question why, and their response was because it's the next one. And that's where I think it begins, the mindset of, yes, this is obviously a huge game for us because it's a first conference game, it's a home game, and it's the Ohio State Buckeyes, And so, but at the same time, as you mentioned, you can't, make it bigger than it is, But there's no question there's a heightened sense of intensity and focus and urgency that's created because of who it is and the fact that it's a conference game. So I think everybody understands that, and our older guys have to help our younger guys, realize that and how we prepare. And so to me, it's just about getting in those habits of how you prepare to be at your best on game day. And so that's why even, playing, whoever we would have played last week, it really didn't matter. Our objective was to play to our standard and to get better in the areas that we addressed. And so, but, I get it. When you play a different team of of this caliber, you're going to have a different result in regards to how you approach it, And so, but the process you go through has to be consistent, and that's how you train your younger guys and how they watch film and how they practice and how they're locked in. That can't change. And so, but yes, there's no question that this game is going to has to bring out our very, very best. And that's what we're looking forward to, and that's what we expect.
Just looking at their last game, some of the drives they had, the first three, I think, were 131, 149, and 40 seconds. I mean, how much is stopping explosive plays going to be an important part of this?
Yeah, I think, it's always kind of been that way. This will be, played these guys several times now, and it's always, it's the same, different guys. Some of these guys, I was going back and looking at a lot of our, previous games, and like you always do, and some familiar faces, been there for a while, but new faces as well, and but same type of explosiveness that you're used to seeing. And when you go through and you watch the film, sometimes it's like, man, I mean, they scored so fast, and it's different guys, and it's just you make one mistake, and you give them a crease, and they make you pay, And so, but that's what the great teams do. And when you have elite athletes like they do, and so many of them, and so you have to have great angles. You got to tackle well. You got to fit things right. You make one mistake, and they can score in a hurry, And so, not every team is like that. So, but once again, that's kind of what I'm used to seeing when we prepare for these guys, and they've traditionally gotten after folks, in the early games in the season, and it's no different this year.
Coach, you've been able to hang with Ohio State for 2 and 3 quarters the last couple of years, but then they kind of got you guys at the end. With your depth getting better and better this year compared to that, are you hopeful and optimistic at all that makes a little bit of a difference in a game like this that comes up now?
That's the expectation, yes. And I mean, you can see, you go back and from 2017, 18, watching those games again, and the James I was the head coach in, and what you just said, you get late in the third quarter, the game was close, and then they pulled away from us both times. And so, bottom line is that we have to finish, and it's not about just competing with them and feeling good about that, Certain stages of your program, you feel that's what you want to do, and that's, to me, we've been there and we've done that, and so now we got to finish, and so there's a lot of variables that go into that, It's obviously, executing on the field in those situations, which they have done that and we have not, and also it's that, the depth that you have in your program to be able to keep playing guys and keeping them fresh and being able to play at that high of a level in the fourth quarter. That's what it's going to come down to. And so that to me is that's why you recruit, that's why you develop. And we've made progress in that area. I guess this is a test case to see where we are, And so, but in my mindset and the expectation that I have as the head coach of this program is, we've been competing with them now for the last few years. And so it's, our objective and expectation is to be able to finish the job.
Tom, you mentioned getting kind of the mindset right of this team with the next game up mentality. Over your time in Indiana, have you worked on anything kind of off the field to get the team's mental mindset more correct entering weeks and during the off season with like a sports psychologist or anything like that, trying to just make sure that guys are as sharp off the field as they are on? We
have, and we've brought various ones in, and just did another one here at the end of fall camp, and and to be able to address the mental side of your preparation, which I think is very, very important, and also just the way that we train in the weight room, and just doing different things and additional things and strategic either exercises or activities that we do with our guys at critical times of a workout, late in the workout, often at the end of the workout, as we call them finishers, just to get our mental toughness to where we're able to, no matter what gets thrown at us, it's just that the mindset, it just doesn't faze us, that, nothing, my kind of mantra is that nothing can break us unless we let it. We are the ones that allow it to happen. But no person, no situation, no environment, and no set of circumstances can break this football team. And so that's what you want. Now we got to work hard to get there, and to me, you're changing a mindset, you're changing a culture, you're changing an expectation. And I guess at the end of the day, you're just changing belief. And so that to me is what gets tested in these games. And so, I know the history, I know where we're at, I know where it's been since we've beaten this team. And so to me, it's about being our very, very best on Saturday, and we have to play extremely hard, we have to play extremely well, we have to play extremely physical. We have to do it for 60 minutes, not 50, not 40. It's got to be 60, and that to me is the next step for this program in this game. So tremendous challenge and tremendous opportunity, all wrapped up into one.
What do you see in the film, Coach, of Justin Fields and the challenge of facing a high-level dual-threat quarterback?
Yeah, anytime you get a young man that can run and throw the ball with equal effectiveness, it always creates a lot of challenges. This style of, Haskins last year was more of a pocket, big-time NFL arm, and he was a very, very special player. Creates some different challenges, and then Justin Fields has a very strong arm as well, but also he can really run. And as the film has shown consistently. So that really does create a lot of problems for the defense. And so you got to do a great job of being able to contain that, and not giving up those explosive plays, as has already been mentioned a couple times. So they kind of live off of those, and it's not that that's all they can do. I mean, they can do other things as well, but they really put pressure on you by scoring fast and often, and then trying to, utilize that tempo within that realm to really keep you off balance and on your heels as a defense. So, yeah, he's a tremendous quarterback, great player, and a lot of respect for his skill set and talent. Don't know him as a person, but what he's put on film has been very impressive so far.
Peyton's a guy that I know you worked really hard to kind of keep in that recruiting class when he was committed to Indiana, and he kind of did the redshirt thing and kind of came on in spurts last year. He's been heavily involved through these first couple of weeks. Just how have you seen him grow, I guess, both over the last kind of 2.5 years, but specifically within the framework of Kalen's offense, which seems to really emphasize tight ends?
It's he was an important recruit for us, being an in-state guy. That when I, was here and early on and just trying to be able to find those body types, they're hard to find. And he's a high school basketball player, and went and watched him play, and it was very important for us to keep him, as a part of what we're doing, and just knowing, Kalen's offense, as you've said, and the way he utilizes the tight ends, I think he's a valuable part of what we want to do, and with all the weapons we have around him, to be able to get him the football consistently well is a high priority for us, and then also just his blocking and all the things that he gives to our program. So, just to me, it's always important to have, guys that can make plays, and then those guys in the run pass conflict areas of the defense, and that where he can really be effective. And so, yeah, just to me, and I think it's exciting for him, and it should be exciting for future tight ends that we recruit to be able to know that you're going to get a chance to to maximize your talents. I just even had conversations with someone recently about their high school son that's plays that position and always is a glorified blocker, in that system from that, and that sometimes can happen. And so most guys want to catch the football. They don't mind blocking. They'll do all those things that they're supposed to do to be a complete player. But they dream about catching touchdown passes and, making big plays, and that's fun, So I just think that's part of us showing, what we're building here and the way our offense is designed and how we do it. So I think Peyton's going to be the beneficiary of that, and you've seen it already, and I think that needs to continue. And he's a big body. He's made some tough catches. He's a tough kid, and from Tri-West High School here in Indiana, and just I love what he brings. I really do, and I just want to continue to see him improve and keep getting better and keep working hard. And he has high expectations for himself as well. So his confidence continues to grow, and he's an important part of our offense, and we're going to continue to recruit well at that position.
Coach, you've had a couple years game planning against J.K. Dobbins. When you talk about game planning against a system, a running game, a system as a running game, how much does he demand your attention to his individual ability as well?
Oh, he demands a lot of our attention. I remember he started as a true freshman, there in 2017. Didn't know much about him. Had to go back and watch his high school film to kind of figure out. I think going into that game, we weren't even really sure. I think Weber had some hamstring issues. We really weren't sure who was going to start, and then they put in Dobbins, and it was like, whoa, and so he made a couple of jump cuts that were pretty elite for a true freshman. So just really strong. He's got a great balance and vision, and he's just another great running back from Ohio State. And they got a bunch of them. They've had a bunch of them. So you got to swarm him. I mean, you're not one guy around him. You got to get a lot of hats to the ball, and that creates challenges. You got to be able to do that, and then you got a quarterback that can run and throw it. So but that's kind of been the the mantra of that's what they create for people. So he's a very, very talented player, and they got a really good one behind him as well, and another good one behind him. And so it really doesn't matter who's in there. You're all going to have to respect the run. You got to defensively, you always want that part of the game to be under control. You want to be able to stop the run game and then force them to be one-dimensional, because if they can run it, then they got both options usually, and that's not good for the defense. So, but yeah, very, very good football player, and we got to get a lot of hats to him. That's why the tackling has been such a big deal for me. I knew what was coming and knew that when this was going to be here, and so we got to have our best game of tackling on Saturday. Yes.
Coach, obviously playing the Big Ten East, you get the opportunity to play games that are, whether it's perception by the fans, but are just considered bigger than others. What would a win over a team like Ohio State, a top 5, top 6 team, do for this program?
Well, those are program-changing opportunities and program-changing wins when they occur, and they've don't happen as often as you want them to, but that's what makes them special, and so there's no question that they're who this whole conference has been chasing, and have performed at that level. And so, yeah, it's playing in this league, creates those opportunities, and coaching the SEC West and now the Big Ten East, I think the two best divisions in all of college football. So that's obviously up for debate, but I've been in both, seen both, and know how hard they are playing against teams of this caliber so frequently and having so many in your own division. So, but it also creates tremendous opportunity. And that's how I look at it. Yeah, it's tough. There's no doubt. I mean, your margin for error against these guys, all teams like this, and is right there. Every mistake you make gets magnified, and so they expose you in a lot of ways. That's why you have to play so hard and so well together, and have a complete offense, defense, special teams game. And so, but that's what you have. And so, to me, I've been some places where you don't have an opportunity to play many of those places and those teams, and it is a great chance for us to be able to take that next step as a program, as we always like to say, and those are definitely program-changing, program-defining wins that affect recruiting and affect the trajectory of your program.
When you see what Ohio State's been able to do to some of their past opponents, like 40-something point shutout against Cincinnati, how do you learn from the other team's mistakes to help you build your own game plan against these guys?
Yeah, I think that the Cincinnati game was one. I think some people might have thought that was going to be a different, closer outcome, and so especially they had Cincinnati had played well against UCLA the week before, and just. You never know how it's going to play out, but it was pretty lopsided, in that game. And so I think it just shows you how good Ohio State truly is, because I think Cincinnati's a good football team, So, but at the same time, you go through and evaluate. They have, not everybody does the exact same things you do, but you look for similarities in scheme and fronts and how you play things, and you communicate with people that on those staffs, and like everybody does and across the country, and you get their input and their thoughts about, what they, kind of thought before and then what was different after, those kind of conversations. So yeah, those are helpful, but at the same time, you got to trust the film, and it's early in the year. You only have 2 games to go off of, so it's not a really large test case to look at, but at the same time, it's a lot of good, valuable information, and so it's a lot better than having, 0 film, to start the year, and so it gives us a chance to see, with their personnel for this year and what they like to do, what they feel they're good at, and what we feel like we need to be able to attack on one side of the football and try to exploit on the other. So that's the challenge we have.
You talk about their physicality up front. With your offensive line, you have 3 seniors there. How far do you think Harry and Caleb have come along in the first 2 games? And then also, how much are you leaning on the experience of those 3 seniors facing that physicality?
Well, I think, Harry and Caleb, we just got to get, just keep getting better. They're just, there's a level of intensity and toughness, and just, it's every little, step you take, and working with the guys around you. And, Caleb's obviously a big individual, but he's starting for the first time, and, Harry's played even more than he has, but just being able to, go against these defensive ends are going to play against on the perimeter is different than the first couple weeks, a lot different. And then the 2 guys on the inside they're going to be facing, that Harry will be matched up with, is more physical, more explosive, bigger guys, and so they've got it's a heightened sense of, technical, precision you have to have in everything that you do, whether it's the communication piece and whether it's your footwork and your hand placement and the line calls and checks and adjustments, all the stuff that they do. So, he'll be, one thing about Caleb was able to play last year against Iowa, so that was a good chance for him to be in the fray of this type of competition that he's going to be seeing. Obviously, those 3 seniors are huge. Those guys, they've been there, they've done that, they've multi-year starters and been in these games, played in these games, love these games. So, those 2 of those 3 guys are Ohio guys, and so as far as our 3 seniors. And so that's just, to me, just that whole mindset that you bring as a senior leader to our program, and how you prepare and what the game means and just all that goes into it. And so I think you lean on those guys this week for sure, especially early in the season when we're still got a lot of young guys. That this is going to be several guys first time playing against Ohio State, and some guys just maybe get a little bit last year but didn't play a lot, but were either there or got some snaps. So, but I think you definitely lean on those older guys to step up and show the new guys how it's done.
Why do you think Raekwon has been so productive so far this year, and what do you like most about what he brings to a team?
I think the first question, the reason why, is confidence and just knowing the system. I think when he's not second guess himself, and when you can tell when a guy, when I watch practice and even walkthroughs, he's making checks and adjustments and he's barking it out loud. When you're loud and confident as you speak, you in your heart know what you're doing, and you don't speak that way if you're not sure. And he's that's something that I think he's grown in a lot. It's a major change for him, and I thought he kind of struggled with that, early on, a year ago, and that's where it's been one of his strengths now. And so that allows you to be almost a step. You're kind of anticipating things, and you're a step quicker, and you finish things better, and so it makes you more physical. And it just makes you a better football player, So, and then I just think that's what I like, the decisiveness of how he's been playing. You pull that trigger when you make your reads, and you make those checks and adjustments. You run defense, you grab defensive linemen, you move them around, and that's what I want to see. Because that affects everybody. It gives everybody else confidence around you. Hey, this guy knows what he's doing. And that elevates their confidence, and it gets people right and gets them lined up. And with all the no huddle tempo that you see about most people, at least at times in games, you got to have that leadership at that position. So that's what I really appreciate about him and respect about him, and that's caused him to play. He's making lots of plays, and he's his confidence continues to grow. So I expect that to just flow into big game against Ohio State.
So Cam Jones was obviously held out this week. Where is he at from a health perspective, and what do you expect from him in practice?
Yeah, we going through progression today. Even had him out on the field working and doing things, and so that was very positive. So we'll make an evaluation again tomorrow, and then look at it again. And so I'll probably know more for sure on Thursday. Usually that's the day we kind of know once Wednesday's kind of in the books, and and you have a chance to see where he's at. So we'll know more. But yeah, obviously trying to get him back.
Coach, your special teams have been so good the first couple of weeks, and usually in games like this that involve an upset, special teams that kind of can often turn the table on that. Are you pleased with where you're at heading into this as to what you're getting from that and some of the boosts from guys like David Ellis and such?
Yeah, I would say pleased for sure. Don't know everything yet. We will be tested in that area on Saturday, so we'll know more at the end of that game of where we're at. But you obviously want to get off to a great start. You want to do things the right way in your first two games, and we've been able to do that in both our coverage units as well as our return units. And so, but yeah, who you're kicking it to now is a different opponent than we've had, and their guys kicking it the way that they do their special teams, and they've been really, really good on special teams, in the last several years. So you're exactly right. In these kind of games, obviously they're the favorite team, and so in order to be able to beat a team that is on paper supposed to be better than you, then you got to find ways to maximize all three parts of it, and you should always have to do that to win at this level. But in order to beat a team like Ohio State that rarely beats themselves and has such elite players and great coaching staff. So to me, special teams is going to have to play a huge role in that. Yes, it's field position, it's points, it's being able to eliminate big plays that have occurred and can occur in those areas of the game, and because of the amount of space involved with special teams play. So yeah, we have to be at our very, very best on special teams, and our guys are fully aware of that.
Just going back to injuries, Reese played some Saturday. Just how did he come through that? Was everything kind of normal? And was Ashawn out Saturday?
He was, and we weren't sure on him, and just decided it wasn't worth risking with him. So he should be, I think he should be good to go this week. It was kind of precautionary for him. Sean Riggins, you were addressing, and but I thought Reese, the thing that really hurt Reese was he missed a lot of practice in fall camp. And for playing a newer position for him, that kind of set him back. So it was that game was important to get him in quite a few reps this past Saturday, because we need him this week to be full bore, and so just hasn't played that position a lot. So thought he did some good things, but definitely was a little rusty, and so what you expect him to be. So but yeah, he's back now and didn't do anything to set him back any further with that. So he'll have a little thing on his thumb and his hand, and so he'd be good to go. Thank you. Have a great day. Elio.